everyone to the P3 committee for September 9th, 2024 at 10 a.m. in the conference room upstairs. The meeting will come to order. Thank you all for being here. We have a big group this morning. Is Jason joining us?
Yeah, I just texted him, but if he's not here, I'll have somebody go grab him.
Okay, all right, thank you. Do we have any public comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great, thank you. And we have had a couple of, just a little bit of a rearrangement for the agenda. I believe we are starting with the VWD San Marcos Fire Department joint letter. So please, is that right?
Yeah, and that's right. We're gonna do item 3, 4, and then 1, 2. So.
Okay, great. So take it away, Mr. Roberts.
So this is pretty quick. I've been working with the fire department to get this approved. They've approved the letter to the customers so far. I gave them the media advisory last week. It's really hard to get. They have to get the fire chief to approve stuff, and it's a process for them to get approved. President Boyd Hodgson, there is a quote for you in that. You can look that over, see if you like it, if you'd like to edit it. It's all good. If you'd like to give some edits to that, please do. But I'm just kind of waiting on fire at this point.
Okay.
And like I said, it's the fire chief, and he's probably a busy guy. So
Who's he trying to hear from?
I mean, Jason is the battalion chief, and he's a busy guy. So just getting, these two guys to talk to each other and go, yes, no, maybe so, is just,
And this is going out to, is this going to be mailed to folks?
So this is going to be, that will be a media release to send out to the media and say, hey, we're doing this, and attach the actual open letter.
This right here, your Vallecitos.
Yeah, and then the open letter will be posted to the website so that people can just download it and send it to their insurance company, agency, or whatever. So
The intent is to have a joint press release.
Yeah.
And then individually on our websites and through individual social media, both at the city and Vallecitos, advertise it some more. So. Right now it's a draft format. Our staff's been done with it for quite a bit, so we're mainly waiting on the city portion.
Right.
So
I have a question. Part of this is we want folks in the community to be able to know that, show this to your homeowner's insurance and see if they will cut you a break. Where is that sort of instruction or call to action?
So I think it's really in the media release is
Okay.
It's available and distributed. Residents are encouraged to read the letter, reach out to insurance carrier, or the department for further assistance.
and we're gonna further kind of highlight that in the press release and also in the individual agency release. It's like, hey, you could try utilizing this and we hope it helps. That type of messaging.
We will social media as well, and it'll be on our website, and so we'll have that information up on the website.
So when they see the actual information on it, it'll be clear the intention is for the homeowner to utilize it to give it to their insurance.
Is it possible to make, and I don't want to make more work, but part of this is also, we want to see if it works. We want to see if homeowners do this, and we also want to get the feedback. Is it possible to create a Google form where people can, if they send it to their homeowner's insurance, we want to hear from you, did it work?
Yeah, Chris and I actually talked about that up front early, a way to maybe reach out from a volunteer standpoint. If you let us know if this worked, please let us know. So we're still kind of spitballing those ideas.
Okay.
We also, there's a good chance talking with the fire department that it won't work. It's still good. Reach out. It's not going to hurt, but it won't work. So then we also are a little bit leery about homeowners saying, I did this and it didn't make a difference. And,
I understand.
And now what are you going to do, Vallecitos?
I understand.
We're not there. So
Okay.
we're still wrestling with that. So it's not a emphatic yes, but it's something we're exploring.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know and to try to manage those expectations. But I think that I think it's worth a shot.
It's all positive. Right? We just don't want it to be flipped back on us in a negative way anyway.
Of
So.
course. Okay. When is this set to? Oh, for today.
No, this
Oh,
is
okay.
this is as soon as fire
We're waiting for.
approves it, we will get signatures on it and push it out. So just
Okay.
kind of waiting on fire.
And we wanted to make sure there's nothing, no fatal flaw that the committee sees, and then once we know fire said yes, we're gonna also, just as an informational item, bring it to the board as an informational item.
Oh, great, okay,
Yeah. So,
great, so everybody will know, okay.
I mean, maybe just during the GM update, or if the timing's right, we may, present it as an item, so.
yeah, feel free to look it over. And like I said, if you
Okay.
the quote, if there's, you want to modify the quote somehow.
Thank you, no,
Please do.
I think it looks fine, nothing is jumping out at me, right now, but should we just, if we see something, we should just.
Yeah,
email you?
just email me, sure.
Yeah, email and then just CC Jennifer, so, and then, yeah, I'm hoping he's gone through a couple back and forths with city
Sure,
staff,
yeah,
so.
I imagine.
Just quick question.
Yes.
Legal counsel see any issues with this?
No, legal counsel, have they seen the final draft?
They have not.
Okay, we'll
because it's
send them a
not
final
final.
draft also.
Yeah.
They're a
But
big.
they've been looped in,
Yeah,
since
they,
the beginning.
they saw an initial draft,
Yeah.
and there's no issues from legal counsel, they need to see the final draft, and glad you brought that up. Their big thing is, we can't make any promises,
of course,
and
and we're
so,
not,
and
we're
that's
not in
where
here, yeah.
that caution of, hey, you probably don't want people to necessarily, you don't wanna invite people in to say, if it doesn't work, let us know, if it works, let us know, we kinda just wanna leave that door open. Because we don't wanna insinuate that there's a promise that this is gonna help lower their rates.
Yeah, I guess my concern is like somebody gets kicked off their insurance and they go, well, I got this letter from Vallecitos said that we're good and that we're in the safest fire area there is.
It doesn't say that though.
Yeah, the fire department was very careful about the language that they were willing to put in.
Yeah.
Cause their legal also looked at it, cause the liability is more on them, cause they're the fire department, so they, we had a kind of a awareness level of here, and they had an awareness level much higher than ours,
That's what they do.
so. But yeah, yes, that's a good point, and we'll have legal take one more look at it.
Anything else on that? Thank you for all the back and forth. I know that this has taken a little bit of time to put together and communication and.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we'll hope that the chief will approve it and then we will be ready to roll and talk about how this is a benefit to the community.
Super.
Okay, thank you. All right, good. Now we're moving on to formally item number 4, outreach materials for the 2025 scholarship.
Yeah, so I just want to put in front of the committee, I want to make sure I've got, text in the press release and in the scholarship application package that points out that we really want to have students that are pursuing a career in water, environmental science, similar studies, just making sure that we are putting in language that the committee would like to see. So I just kind of highlighted the portions that specifically apply to that. So this can get edits. This won't go out. The press release will probably go out on like February 1st. I think I've already kind of figured out the closing dates, March 25th of 2025. So a lot of time. So if there's some suggestions, but even like on the application package, there's a bullet or a specific thing saying, hey, tell us about your plans for a career in water, environmental science, engineering, related fields. So trying to push them that direction. My one caution or caveat is in high school, the kids aren't specifically gonna have necessarily water related classes. They may not have made that choice yet. So I kind of put it as, hey, this is highly desirable. These are favored. That's the way these will be evaluated. So if there's edits or suggestions before this gets pushed out on probably February 1, let me know.
And we have some time on this, and this is part of the just kind of evolving process of refining our scholarship process. And with that, the current board action is basically to open it up for all fields. So somebody could be doing accounting and accountants too, but we would definitely want to encourage people who are in the engineering, environmental, water sciences, those fields to come forward. So we want to basically highlight those, but not exclude the other majors.
I think this language is good. And I think making it clear is important. The original intent as the scholarship was developed a couple of years ago was to encourage and provide money for folks studying water or the environment. And having this language in here as saying it's highly desirable and favored, I think is a great addition so that it's clear.
Yeah.
I do want to make sure that we note that it's open to folks not just pursuing a four-year degree, because as we know, we have great students coming through Palomar, and Palomar students get a lot of their money for the scholarships. So I wonder if there is a way to just add in that it doesn't only apply to people getting a four-year degree, like
At the top of the application package, it mentions Palomar.
oh, it
And
does,
then
yes,
the
it does, right
top
there,
of
thank you.
the press release, it mentions Palomar,
Yeah.
so it's kind of right there.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing a almost.
Right there, yeah, thank you, I missed that.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I was doing-
Right?
Yeah, you're
That's
drawn
good.
to the highlight on
Right.
that.
No, thank you, that's good.
We're actually seeing a big need on vocational skills too, to be honest, you know, electricians, mechanics, those skills are, those people becoming fewer and fewer. And, you know, as you know, we're working with the school district about vocational training, so, because that's gonna be a big need in our industry over the next probably 20 years.
Mhm.
So,
Great. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad we're getting a jump on this. You know, having a kid that is going through the college application process right now. November 1st is the deadline to apply for like merit-based. And so by February, a lot of young people will know what they have as far as merit goes, and you know, they may be looking for other opportunities because maybe they didn't get quite what they wanted. I think this is great, and I think the more we advertise this, you know, each year we've got more and more applications, and maybe we'll get some more applications.
I think I'm gonna actually try to go out to the schools themselves, yeah. Denise and I have talked about coming up with some maybe pop-up events at the schools. We've never got anything from like,
Foothills.
yeah, it just
And I've
nothing.
actually, I've gone to Foothills myself, and but it's, you know, it's actually we got one application from Foothills, but it
Mhm.
wasn't water and environmental
oh,
science. But yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think doing outreach will help out a lot because I think people don't know what they don't know. And they don't know, it's like going to work for a school district. People think going to work for a school district, there's only teachers. They don't realize there's a whole classified side of the staff that, you know, they hire. So it's the same thing here. It's just not water. There's a whole administrative side, business side. So I think just going out and doing some outreach will be really helpful.
And if it just goes up on a bulletin board, who knows who looks at it, so.
No,
that's-
it's the
that's
face to
point,
face
yeah.
that really makes an impact.
Do you think that you'll talk with the counselors or?
So it depends on where we're going. If we're going to the colleges, we're gonna start with the deans.
Mhm.
If we go to the elementary schools, we'll start with the admin over.
I'm looking at you because in my world, elementary is like,
Well, I
Sixth
mean
grade
like
down.
junior high, like junior high. So I came from K through 12th
okay,
grade.
all right.
So when I'm saying elementary, I mean K through 12,
Okay.
but yes,
primary.
it's primary. It's not the upper level, so. Yes, I know in working in both of those arenas, I know the loopholes and the things to who to talk to and the way to maneuver to get through and get our
Okay.
stuff posted,
Great.
so
I have a contact at the Career Center at
Great.
CSUSM that I can connect you with as well.
perfect, yep.
And, you know, we've never specified that this has to be someone who's a senior in high school going into CSUSM. This could be someone who is currently matriculating through CSUSM.
Yeah, I mean, it can be
and
any of the
needs some
above,
help. Yeah,
yeah.
so, okay, great. All right, I'm gonna take that as an action item. I will connect you with the CSUSM Career Center.
perfect. Actually, and it will be helpful for us for jobs too, so, yeah. It's a twofold.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've changed is Denise said with her school district experience is going to a lot of the career fairs, not when possible, so.
That's great.
So She might be forcing Bridget to go to some of this.
Yeah. I actually love doing them. It's a great time to get out and meet the community and work with the younger staff and, you know, teaching them how to go through, because one thing I've talked to our staff about is it is very different applying for a government entity rather than a private entity. And people don't understand that. And so I think doing outreach and explaining that to students and showing them and explaining how to apply for a government agency and what that looks like will also be extremely helpful, because it's very different. And the way we do things are different as an HR, so that'll be good.
You know, since it's advertised to kids, like some shock headlines would be good, you know, they have short attention spans. So.
They do.
Like water, want $2,000?
They do.
We don't have a TikTok page yet, right?
No, we're staying away from TikTok.
Yeah, we have to be
But
careful.
we do have Instagram now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Okay,
we have
because I try to
Instagram.
tag you all on Instagram all the time and it doesn't come up.
maybe-
We have Twitter
So
or
Twitter,
X or whatever.
yeah,
it is.
Maybe a scholarship dance?
The GM.
I think Chris actually reached out to our ops guys to see if they want to do a coordinated dance.
Yeah,
I don't think he got a good result out of that.
Our other GM where I came from did that too with the staff. He had put a call out to do it, and he was the only one that did the YouTube dance. Nobody else did it with him.
That's brave though.
Yeah. Right?
Don't get any.
I know, I'm like, geez.
Okay, well, thanks for getting a jump on this and, you know, we'll watch it grow.
Because I know you have to take off, so, but thank you.
Okay, super,
Thanks,
Chris. You got the grant thing all by yourself, man. That's good, thanks. Thanks, co-pilot.
All right, well, we're next.
Okay, next is
The employee handbook. All right, so we have provided you guys with an executive summary and the employee handbook. There you go. So we are, we don't have enough handbooks. So we are bringing the updated employee handbook to the P3 committee primarily as an informational item. If there's any areas of concern or if you have any questions or clarifications, we can go over them in more detail and we can talk about it. The employee, I just want to give you some history behind the employee handbook. So the employee handbook was last updated in 2018. Just for some informational item, we updated our MOU between the district and the employee association back in 2023. And the reason I'm bringing up the MOU is because the MOU also dictates the personnel handbook. If there's anything during negotiations that we need to go in and update, we'll either go in and update the whole handbook, or in this particular situation, we've added 2 supplementals, which I'll discuss in a little bit, to the policies. And so we won't be starting negotiations for the new MOU until fall of 2026. For example, like I had said, the MOU does impact the employee handbook. For example, the telecommuting policy that we started as a pilot. So that was done during that time of the negotiations. They started as a pilot, we provided it as a supplemental. Once we decided to adopt it, then we went ahead and made it part of our actual supplements. We had some delays in updating the employee handbook. Some of the delays were we went through COVID. Our administrative services manager retired. I was hired as the new HR manager. We had changeover in the association leadership. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because the process that the employee handbook and those supplements go through have very many review steps. So it starts out with HR. Then HR sends everything to the GM. The GM has to review all policies and supplementals. From there, it goes to our legal counsel, Allison Alford, the BB&K. She goes ahead and reviews everything. From there, it goes to our association leadership. So they review it and they either take some items or all items to their constituents. They come back and it's an interactive process between HR and we go through this dance, through the handbook with them.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You mentioned MOU leadership has changed. Is it not Ingrid and?
No, so
No.
we have new leadership there. It's Veronica. What's wrong with this?
Justin
Flores and Justin Shutt.
and Jesse.
Oh, and Jesse Halbig. So we have new leadership on board. So we had to give them the book, give them time to review it.
What's Justin's last name?
Shutt, S-H-U-T-T.
But Veronica's president and Justin's.
VP, and then Jesse's the secretary, treasurer.
Is that right? Treasurer?
I got secretary.
Oh, secretary. Oh, you might be right. I'll
The
go
other
with you.
position is Jesse.
I'll go with you over me.
So everybody's been having to be caught up to speed with this manual, so this poor manual's been through a lot of process. All right, so once it comes back from the association leadership, then we bring it here to P3, which is where we are today, with only the personnel handbook. We aren't bringing forward the supplementals yet. We are planning on bringing the supplementals to the next P3 meeting. And then our plan is to take the handbook and all the supplementals and present it for adoption at board in the beginning of November is our game plan.
Okay.
So today you guys only have the handbook. And then a little bit about the reason for updating is to refresh language, comply with legal requirements and laws, and because of business requirements and we have to processes change, we have to change policies and procedures to make sure we're all concurrent. I did mention that we have 14 supplemental policies because you'll see that in the table of contents in the beginning, so you don't have those yet. We did have 12, we added 2 new personnel policies, so we added one is going to be the telecommuting, and then the other one is we created a DEI policy, so we'll be seeing those at the next P3 meeting. And then with that, that's really all the comments I have. On the executive summary, you'll see that we did provide page numbers to each of the areas that we made changes in. A lot of the changes we made were to update to be compliant with language. We were already doing many of the process procedures and policies because they're legal requirements by law. So a lot of those we've already been doing. We just had to catch the policies up to HR.
I have a question. So for example, when folks are updating bylaws, for example, it's often just redlined, you know, what's added and what is not. And does it require a wholesale redo of bylaws? Why does it require a wholesale redo of this rather than just redlining and?
That's what we'll do.
That is what you're doing, okay.
So what'll happen is HR will redline the original, send it to me.
We get purple, green, I
I'll
believe.
add
red line.
odd
Okay.
comments,
Okay,
legal ad comments, then we'll give the red line version to the association.
Okay.
And do they actually put comments on, or do they get more of just written
Okay.
comments?
Both.
Okay, then they'll do that, and then we'll update it with the changes and send it back out for review again. So that's basically the result of it.
And we didn't give you red lines because
It's really
it
messy.
really goes red lines, purple lines, green lines,
Okay.
depending on who's making comments. It was easier for us to provide you a clean draft because otherwise it's a nightmare. And your draft is very bad. Your draft is not clean. Your draft, you'll see, it's not formatted.
Thank you for, that's the next thing is we haven't done the final polishing yet. So if you look through, you might see some punctuation, some misspelled words, because when everybody redlines on top of each other and you start accepting changes,
It's
the
confusing.
formatting
Yeah.
gets kind of messed up. So we did one kind of brush over to clean it up for this meeting, but we haven't done the final. The biggest thing is this is mainly an information item because it's really driven by the MOU. And law. So there's not a lot of flexibility we can do. So a lot of language that we had, now we're changing it to has to comply with the existing law, because the existing laws, especially post-COVID, are, to be honest, a lot more flexible than our existing MOU was. So the old language was less flexible, the law is more flexible, we have to comply with the law,
so what are you looking for from the board then? Because it sounds like, so if we're not given something to judge by what it used to look like versus the updates, is it like, are we just rubber stamping it or?
Well, we gave you an executive summary that tells you in each section what changes we did make, so you
Okay.
can go into the sections and review them, and if there's anything that sounds funky or doesn't sound, doesn't make sense, then let's talk about it, because maybe we just didn't see something, or maybe you don't know, and we can have that really fluid conversation.
Yeah,
Because
because we don't know the laws.
Right,
The team here has looked at it so much that
That we're
you know,
overlooked it.
they're no longer but that being said, you're kind of on the right track, because the handbook at the end of the day requires board adoption
By law,
by law.
okay.
By
Or
our
ordinance.
ordinance and
Ordinance,
stuff,
yes.
yeah. So but the what complies with the handbook has to comply to the law and the MOU, so really your bumpers are very narrow anyway, so, but it still requires board adoption.
To make it simpler, could you simply provide the green, purple, red line version so she can look at it if that's what she'd like?
I'm not going to compare and contrast. I was just wondering what you
Our process.
wanted from us, because that's a lot to ask for board members to do
That's what
that,
I
'cause
was
we
thinking.
don't
Yeah.
know. But I was just wondering.
But I was thinking you could go in and just kind of, pick a couple areas that, oh, I don't know, let's go in and look at it, and just have like that high
If
level.
there's anything that jumps out.
Or fatal flaws, yeah, or why are we doing this?
Because it's
is the
good for you guys
question.
to know too, what the employees
Yeah,
have to
so-
deal with.
And to clarify, when we bring it to the board, we're going to just state that it was presented at P3 for information only,
Mhm.
not it got P3 approval.
Right,
So,
because it requires all of us to approve.
yes.
Okay.
So,
The
Okay.
feedback's great,
All right.
thank you.
Just to double check, do employees also get like a PDF copy of this?
It's posted online, they have to send it, sign an acknowledgement that goes in their personal folder, and then we can always print it or
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm just thinking like, it's easier to search a PDF than it is to like.
Yes.
What did it say about the?
Well,
Next
hopefully, we're gonna
policy.
be technically savvy where when we post it online, we can have we can have the table of contents where you
Sure.
can click on that page number and then it takes you right to the where you need to go.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so we'll figure that
and
out.
we saw, when I first started, the handbook, I still have the old handbook, and then every year they give you, if there's update, the replacement pages, remember that?
Oh, that's nice.
They no longer do that. It's
Okay,
all-
'cause I was
they
like,
just
I
tell
don't
you
know how to do
the
it.
handbook's been updated.
Okay.
So now we have an internal internal kind of website, Jostle.
Internet?
Yeah, the
Internet.
handbook
Internet.
is actually posted on the public website.
Is it too? Okay, so I know it's on the both, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so most employees
Because
go
we're
to the internal
transparent, yeah.
website and you can look at, your pay stub, you can look at all the different things there. including the handbook. So,
And who checks all of the compliance from the legal perspective of the employee handbook?
Allison Alpert,
That's right,
she's
you said
our labor attorney from BB&K.
Okay.
And then also we utilize LCW because we are part of their consortium, Labor Capacity Whitmore.
Okay.
So we also lean on them.
Okay, great. Well, it seems like this is moving along and there have been some additions and subtractions.
Some updates. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
so it'll be similar when we bring the supplements to you, but now the supplements, there's the new supplements, so we'll spend a little bit of time going over the new ones.
Mhm.
And the other ones are just really updates, but the committee will see them all. And if there's any questions or concerns, by all means.
And just remember when you're reviewing that employee handbook, the personnel policies, that policies are high level. So we're not necessarily putting software names and the detail in there because we don't want to have to change it all the time.
Sure.
So that's going to be very high level where your supplements maybe drill down a little bit, but not too much because those are independent policies that are easier to make changes to than the actual whole personnel manual or employee handbook, sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you. This is a large body of work and it sounds like it has to go through multiple steps of review with multiple people, and we've got some new folks coming on board that require bringing up to speed, so it's a lot of work. So,
Thank you.
We have quarterly meetings with the association leadership now, so we go over items, concerns,
Okay.
so.
Thank you. I think last item is district.
Jason. So, Jason and I were talking, and we realized that we've never, as staff, really gone to a committee or board to kind of explain kind of the breadth of grant access or grant applications or grant efforts that the district has. So.
Great, that's why I keep asking about it.
I
So,
know, so.
good, okay.
So, well, that's why. So, because a lot of times when it comes in, and even if my predecessors come in, it'd be something that we're already working on, or we've already kind of gone down the road. So the way, and you may remember from Chris, and I know Chris works a big portion of this too, so I wish he was here, because he can give you more detail, is most grant applications have kind of a point system. And within the point system, there's just several things that you get credit for. Just in general, hear this theme a little bit more from Jason. Being a water district that actually is well funded and with good, fairly new infrastructure, and what our demographics being pretty diverse, but over on the more affluent side of diverse as far as a full community, our point systems aren't great. So that restricts our access to different grants. So staff is very strategic about the type of grants they go, because grant process and efforts take hundreds of hours of staff time plus consultant time a lot of times. So I think that's kind of a good primer for Jason to take over.
Yeah, so exactly right. So that's really one of the big challenges that the district faces, is trying to connect those financial opportunities to the actual projects and goals of the district, and meeting the requirements of the grant agencies has been a real struggle. So, but we're always kind of looking at it. We've been successful, and probably our biggest success has been as a member of the North County San Diego Water Reuse Coalition. And so we've got, received $4.3 million in state and federal grants. And that's, I think, really because we've got 7 agencies as a unified voice advocating for those monies.
And really good, just to add to that, one of the great things about that coalition is you get to take advantage of some of the demographic advantages from a grant standpoint.
From a grant standpoint, yeah.
If that Oceanside and Escondido have.
Mhm.
Carlsbad doesn't give you much advantage, but
Sure.
so we partner with them relatively often for those reasons. And then part of that effort includes both federal and state lobbying.
Mhm.
So instead of paying for individual lobbyists, we're all going after the same mutual goals. So we jointly together and pay our prorated portion of lobbyings. And then when the grant comes in, we adjust that prorated portion based on benefit. So in other words, if Oceanside got 60% of the benefit and the other 6 agencies got 40, then Oceanside, it will end up retrospectively paying 60% of the lobbying effort that happened over the last 2 years to get that benefit.
Yeah.
So it kind of trues up. It hasn't happened because we've all been sharing money equally, but now that we're getting towards the end of certain cycles, there's gonna be true ups that happen over the next probably 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
But that's kind of the structure. So we do both federal and state lobbying kind of through that for both, Prop 1 money, Prop 50 money, water use bonds, water purification bond, cleanup bonds, all that stuff, both on those levels.
And who tracks that on our end?
Jason does now. I did for most of my career here
Okay.
before that, and then I handed it over to Jason.
Yeah, it's always sort of lived in engineering, because we spend the sort of the bulk of the projects, and like James says, it's our goals that line up with the grants are water efficiency, the creation of new recycled water. Those sort of benefits are really where the grants are available. So those projects are
Right.
typically pursued by engineering, but Meters pursues them. Chris pursues grants too. So currently we have an AMI pilot project that the Meters department is pursuing, and we're going to be chasing Water Smart grants for that. We also have a DPR project on the books, and we have a grant writer that's we're getting ready to submit an application for grants for that feasibility study.
And AMI stands for?
Advanced meter.
Immigration.
So basically, it's remote meter reading, where you could see 15-minute
Okay.
data. The customer could actually, like an app, just kind of like if you have solar panels on your house, you could actually look at water going through, usage.
Oh, yes,
historical
right,
use, all
we've
that
talked
stuff.
about this, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it falls into that water efficiency category, and that's where it is trying to line up our projects into these categories where that are.
And the AMI is a perfect example of something that we're gonna go after individually, because there's more benefits. So what we'll do is every project, does it make sense? Do we have a good chance to go as a group? Or can we go individually and get more money? And so AMI, we're gonna try and go individually, but, well, let me back up. If the board's desire is to go forward AMI, which is a multi-million-dollar, multi-year effort, then my recommendation to the board will be that every year we go out, every cycle we go out and try and get grant opportunity and build our AMI infrastructure as we get the grants. Now, to clarify, that's not really all free money, because grants are usually 75, they give you 25 cents on the dollar. So you're spending 75 cents to get 25 cents. Best case scenario, you get to about 50-50 between state and federal. But usually 25% is about what you're gonna get, so you're still spending 75 cents to get 25 cents. But if you're gonna build it anyway, I wish you didn't have 25 cents.
I think that that's an important sort of expectation setting, because we know there's demand for it, but whether or not people want to pay for it is another.
Yeah, that's gonna be a higher level discussion that will go through committee after we're done with the pilot. And then go to board for final decision. We're a good year away from that decision, so.
Yes.
Sit on your house right there.
We don't have AMI right now, so.
What area is it again that we're piloting?
It's over by the old Escondido Country Club, Ed's house.
Okay.
Is where Ed lives, kind of on the east side of the district.
Think
'Cause
we can get him in for a presentation on how it's going after he retires?
I'm
We
sure-
could get him back.
I'm sure he'll be willing to give it. Actually, he likes it because he did a trial of the flume, which is a company that is basically attached on the outside of your pipe. It's not as accurate, but it gives you updates if it gives you readings, it gives you alerts if the water's running when it shouldn't be running type thing. So there's a lot of capabilities with it. But what I've been told by most GMs is usership goes up tremendously. Like when people get solar, they check it all the time, and then after a certain amount of time, it drops off the cliff. So.
And Oceanside's doing it right now.
Lindenheim is fully AMI now. Oceanside is, I don't know if they're full, but they're pretty close to full. So
Yeah,
Chris was the supervisor in charge of meters.
not this Christmas.
Not this Chris Tapia.
Tapia.
And he was in charge of implementing AMI there and before he came over here. So
Yeah, Oceanside and Aleviheim actually really present a really good model for us to follow on how to, and probably Aleviheim specifically, because they sort of broke their district into areas and then chased these grants that would fund those specific areas instead of trying to take it all on one together. Because again, like James said, the board has to have an appetite to spend that money. It is going to cost money. You are going to get, you have the opportunity to get some money back, but you still, 50 to 75% of it we're paying for. So, and I will say that we've been successful in grants. We're pursuing some grants. We've been unsuccessful with grants. So just to be fair, we have a pretty big outfall project. As you recall, we brought it to the board in June to start that design part. And this is something, just so you know, that in engineering, when we have these big projects, we're hiring these consultants. We always put a task for them to review grants applicable to that project. So we kind of bake that into the project to chase those down. So, and in the outfall project, we've been unsuccessful. So the consultant that we hired to really program manage that did spend some time looking at grants and trying to line anything up, and they couldn't find anything that without adding scope to the project. So again, you could add scope to the project, spend more money to try to find areas to categories to grab money, but now you're really expanding the scope of your project to really line up with the goals of that particular project. Doesn't mean it might not line up in the future, but those are just things that we're always looking at.
So historically, we've been very, very careful, and I'm glad you brought that up. So we baked grant opportunities into the individual project that project needs. But we also know that, there's a likelihood, and the consultants are pretty good. They'll tell you, you got maybe a 15% chance of getting this grant. And if you want to make that a 20% chance of getting it, you're gonna have to spend $500,000 more to encompass this other scope. And you're like, okay, well, we're gonna get $200,000 and spend $500,000 getting 200. So then we back off that right away. And we make that decision up front. That's kind of the way we've been operating. And going back to the way they chart it, this is kind of ironic, and this is not something that is actually written down. You're not gonna find this in the rapid gauge, but if we were in a situation where we had failing infrastructure because we didn't maintain it over the last 20, 30 years, then we'd have a pressing need for some of our infrastructure projects because we wouldn't have the funding for it, and we have a failing infrastructure. So you're almost punished for being a highly, as far as financially stable agency with well-maintained infrastructure from a grant standpoint,
Okay.
because we don't have that pressing need. And then the
You're
demographic.
saying pressing needs, so that's language probably that is looked for in
Yes.
the grants.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if that's the exact language, but there's key language that grant writers use that said, and then you prove it through, other data history and financial history in the data, so.
Suffering from success.
Yeah, so, but just to let you know, we are continuing to pursue things, so, Chris Robbins and I recently spoke with a lobbyist firm to see what opportunities they could avail the district. Of course, those are on a fee, a retainer fee that we have to pay.
Is this the person that I say, is this Rojas?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, so we did meet with him
Yeah, okay, great.
last week,
Yeah,
and
okay.
he's gonna provide us with an SOQ, we'll review it,
Yeah,
and
great.
then just talk with James, and we could certainly decide if that's, you know, an opportunity we wanna pursue. We also have, like James mentioned, a lobbyist that we pay for currently. I think we
And we wanna make sure there's no overlap. as
Yeah,
well as
and I need to reach out to them and just say, hey, you know, give us an update. They typically give us an annual update, but I'm gonna reach out to them and just say, hey, has anything changed? I did recently talk to another GM, and they had mentioned that there's some earmarked funds that are available. I wanna reach out to that person at that agency who kind of chases that down and see, okay, what did you do? Is there an opportunity for us? So I will be kind of pursuing that on the side, and I can certainly bring an update once I kind of chase that down.
Thank you, and I think it might be worth hearing from the lobbyist a little bit more often than once a year. I
No,
wasn't aware we had a lobbyist. every
It's
year.
through that group, it's Blue Water Technologies.
Blue Water
Strategies.
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 Yeah, so they give us, I think they typically give us an annual update on various
And
bills.
they do about a quarterly, they come to the North County Coalition meeting with staff and they give an update on those, but it's election cycle, so there's usually multiple updates during election cycle, because it depends on how those seats change
Mhm.
and who's on different committees.
Mhm.
So what will happen is we'll get a pre-election, which may have already happened actually, and then post-election, we'll get, okay, here's how things have changed, here's what's going on, here's our best strategy. You know, this person's no longer on this committee, this person's now the
Mhm.
chair of that committee, so.
Do they update the legislative committee, our legislative committee?
No, we're not at that point, because it's not legislative as far as how it affects the water district, as far as rules, regulations. This is just pure grant funding stuff,
Okay,
so.
And they support the coalition as a whole, which we're a member of, so it's not like they're specifically
They're not
working for
our-
Vallecitos.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
they're working for that coalition, so.
okay.
And then we also, as I'm sure you know, we get updates from the Water Authority, and other professional organizations
Aqua.
that keep us
Yeah.
posted.
Aqua,
Yeah,
Tox-
and
Tox-
we support those, you know, letter writing efforts or whatever, so.
So yeah, we definitely don't have a centralized grant funding strategy, but we do it kind of project by project and through the different groups that we're members of, so.
Yeah, and we do, so you know, we do have a consultant on an as-needed basis that pursues grants for us. So again, project by project, we'll reach out to them, hey, give me a proposal on chasing a grant for this particular project. And they give us, you know.
That's right, and this
Yeah.
consultant is one that got grant funding for the Oceanside's Pure Water. They also got grant funding for Oceanside's AMI project, and actually they've been very successful. in
Yeah,
finding
yeah,
grant
they're
funding,
very,
so
very
Probably the
successful
most
in North County.
prolific up here.
So we can lean on them if we want to explore, if there's appetite to explore wider implementation of AMI, we can lean on
We
them.
plan on it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They've already been
Are they
talked to.
flat rate or are they incentive based? Like if we get you.
No, they're flat rate. Yeah, it's a scope and you know, whether they get it or not, they spend the hours. It's a professional service.
Yeah, I'll say they're fairly inexpensive in the submission process, but you know, if you're not successful, it's each application, right, is an additional fee. And then if you actually get the grant, there's an administrative side to that,
Mhm.
that you actually now have to administer the grant. And that would be something that we would probably task them to do, because that's a lot of paperwork, that's a lot of
That's a good point.
it's a big effort that's, I think people sort of forget, and it goes on for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coalition has gotten over $20 million in total grants, and we've seen 4.something million of that ourselves, but you know, for different groups, like with bigger projects like SKD and Oceanside. And the grant administrative effort goes on for years even after the grant. So a huge chunk of that money gets swallowed up from a percentage wise, it's over 10% gets swallowed up to consultant fees.
Yeah, I also want to just point out that when we do get, if we get federal grants, it adds an additional layer of cost to the district. You're now on Buy America standards, so your material prices, your bid prices are going to go up. you also have additional environmental requirements, so not just having to do California CEQA, now you have to do a federal NEPA.
Mhm.
So there's these sort of incremental costs that at least have to be considered when you look at this as a whole, as the cost benefit to everything you go after.
More
So-
strings with the money.
Yeah, so.
It is true.
Yeah, so currently, when, like when we look at a grant funding, we'll look at the opportunity and weigh it. We'll say, okay, we have a pretty good chance of getting this grant and we're gonna get $4 million. Of that $4 million, we're gonna about spend $1 million more in fees, between bidding and so on. And fees, so then, okay, the reality is about 300 of that, we're gonna lose another 3 million, about $500,000 in other staff time. So we really weigh that option and kind of do a complete return on investment on it. So when on a smaller project where you might be looking at $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 grant, your level of effort for your consultant with the monitoring stuff doesn't change much. It's still the same paperwork. So we'll just back off that grant completely. So, and so, like, for example, not any of the directors in this room, but I've had a conversation with another director where they're talking about this agency getting this grant, and they have a project that's scaled 20 times bigger than us. So the grant made sense for them.
Mhm.
The grant for us, we'd end up, walking away with maybe $100,000 of a, multi-million-dollar project by the time we paid for everything on the both front end and the back end. So we pick and choose our grant opportunities very selectively because it is a tremendous amount of staff time and effort. And we also understand that, we're a medium-sized agency, so we don't have these, $150 million projects. We're not doing huge pure water, East County pure water projects. So we do, there's a lot of thought that goes into it from a staff level, but we've never shared that with committee or board. So you guys have been in the dark, and that's really on us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
And something next that we're potentially considering, again, we have to look at the cost is, do we bring in somebody to do sort of almost like an audit on our projects and say, hey, here's our suite of projects. It's online. You can look at all the projects we have. What lines up? And where do we think we can, realistically actually get some money?
Mhm.
You can submit tons of applications and go nowhere and spend money doing that, but we really want to put our eggs in the right baskets.
Sure.
So that's something that we're gonna talk about.
What is the accountability mechanism to ensure that, if we're tasking someone with a scope of work that includes, can you see if there are any grants available for us? What's the accountability mechanism to make sure that they do that?
Yeah, so when we're hiring them, they're really saying, hey, we're gonna take all your information, we're gonna write it up as best as we can, and we're gonna pursue that grant, but there is no guarantee. And they're typically, at least
I mean, just that they're gonna look at it and
Yeah.
and I wanna make sure that I wanna make sure that we're saying, we want you to investigate any grant opportunities, and they say, oh, yeah, we'll do that. Well, I wanna make sure that they actually do it.
Oh, usually we get a pretty good, we've always gotten a really good printout of, hey, these were all the grants we pursued by
Okay,
name.
all right,
And
so,
then what
so they're
those,
forthcoming with that.
yeah,
information. Okay.
they always give us, for instance, on the outfall, they kind of give us, hey, these were all the grants that we looked at, and
Mhm.
here's all the reasons why none of these were worth pursuing.
Plus,
for these reasons.
these are either a person in the company or companies that specialize in grant writing.
So they-
And so that's how they make their money, by being successful getting grants and then touting that for your agency. I got Vallecitos, $4.5 million, I can get you something like that.
Yeah, they want to give us the money, but
Yeah.
they realize that that's a
They're
challenge, and
incentivized
there's
to
no,
do it.
yeah, and
Okay.
there's no guarantee, so, and they're
Plus
usually
the-
pretty upfront.
Our own height is so steep, it's like 100 to get 40X.
That's
Worth taking steps.
Yeah, so we usually take that initial step and then we have a couple off ramps. So
Right.
the first off ramp too, there's always these off ramps before you finally, you can even submit an application. Danger is there's an off ramp right before you submit an application, because if you submit an application and get selected and then try to take an off ramp because it's not worth it, then the resource agency grant administrators will remember that, and you'll probably never get accepted again. So that's really your go, no go right there. So we have to do all of our math up front before we submit.
Mhm.
So we have everything else is, we're internal, we haven't let it out in the world yet. As soon as we let that out into the world, if we get accepted, then can you perform? Can you deliver your project in time? And can you, usually can you deliver the water?
Yeah,
The water
and
savings.
this is, and we're living this right now
Yep.
with our CCT expansion project.
And no
So
luck.
the monies were awarded. We cannot, we had to get that project out to bid at a certain time. So, Ryan and his team were pushing our designers to get the bid documents out. We have a contractor on board. Now it's kind of like, okay, we gotta go because we're already.
The timeline is dictated by the
Yeah,
grant.
so
and
there's
that money.
there's no
Direct
backing
bill.
out,
Yeah,
so all those costs, now the district is committed to spending that money so that we can get those reimbursements.
But, and on the backside, the part is also the district's reputation. If you don't deliver the next grant application you get, you're gonna be remembered as an agency that didn't deliver.
Mhm.
So that's part and parcel of this.
And we like to
I'm really glad that you took the time to update us on all of this information because it has been a black box.
Yeah.
That's why I keep asking about it.
Yeah, sorry, I was just
So,
gonna have
yeah.
printouts and slides and everything, but
Yeah, no, I think this has been really beneficial. And I think that the entire board would benefit from having an understanding of this, not, I don't know that you need to reiterate everything that you said in here, but because the board members can watch this video if they would like, but I think it is important because, I know Director Pinnock Vice President Pinnock has been also asking about it. He's been also banging the drum about this, so I think it would be beneficial for all of us. Or even maybe we put this as a policy, just so that it's outlined, so that the information is available, so that we have an understanding, so that we're not wasting your time by saying, hey, did you apply for this? Did you apply for that? When you all know, well, in fact, every time we have a project, we look at grant opportunities. I mean, just that piece of information is really helpful.
yeah, I happened to see Director Pinnock in the field last week and took some time to kind of tell him a little bit about what was going on, so.
But Director Nan is also always kind of the same drumbeat about grants. So one of the things that Jason and I talked about is bringing the same item to engineering committee because they're both on engineering committee. So I get 4 directors that have all had, hey, haven't pursued grants, one question at one time or another that have brought it up. So.
Yeah, we can talk about them because they're specific about the projects and then we can kind of expand a little bit more.
And I talked to Director Althar, and with his experience at Rancho, he kind of understands where we sit in the grant writing world. So.
Okay. That's beneficial.
So information only, but
Good information.
and we
Thank
can
you.
bring it back and update you in another 6 months if that would be beneficial to let you know
I
where
think
we're
it'd just
at.
be cool, like, hey, we applied for 2 grants last month,
Yeah.
as it happens, as it rolls out,
Sure.
just like, let us know.
Okay, yeah, that I can do when we have some milestones
Yeah.
on particular
Like, we're
grants and
chasing $5
submittals.
million. We
Sure.
just applied, this is very early stage, but.
Yeah, okay.
Maverick, one
agree.
of the things we could probably do is we could bring that as a general item, like the GM update
It's a
for the
GM
whole
report.
Oh,
for the
okay.
whole board, and then if there's more questions about it, we can bring it to committee.
Yeah, I think that's really important because, the money is an outcome.
Yeah.
Getting the money is an outcome, and it shows that we're looking for money, and it's good for our customers too, because it tells them, we are trying to save you money at every opportunity that we can.
Well, it makes a difference in the bottom line, so every dollar grant is a dollar we don't have to collect for our customers for that project, so there's a direct benefit.
100%.
And I know the board members go to conferences and you're getting updated on things. So yeah, feel free to share that information and I'll definitely, do homework on it if you hear something.
Great, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it's a good point. When you get information from the conference, we're getting similar information but, we may be looking at, but we may have missed one. So,
Okay.
but definitely keep on sending those to us and we'll vet them.
Any other comments about that? Okay, I think we're finished then. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you.